Hello and welcome to the channel. Guys, this video was not planned. With Skirk's release date fast approaching, I felt inspired to revisit an old design of mine. I've been very excited about Skirk ever since she was first mentioned in Child's voice lines. Admittedly, it was because I was super invested in Child as a character, but still. The info we had on her was extremely sparse back then, basically summed up to her being a strong swordswoman who lived in the Abyss and trained Child when he fell into it as a teenager. That left basically everything to the imagination, especially since the Abyss itself was still super mysterious. I mean, it still is, but we had like crumbs back then. That of course did not stop people from coming up with designs and backstories for her. Personally, I had the image of her as this woman who'd survive in the Abyss against all odds and clung to her humanity, despite her mind and body slowly being corrupted by the Abyss to the extent that she would no longer be fit to live in society. A fact she was sadly very well aware of and had made peace with years ago. I had a vague idea of her design in my head, and I didn't set out to draw her until we finally met the actual Skirk in the Primordial Sea during Fontaine's Archon quest. Technically, we did see Skirk in the trailer for Genshin's 4.2 update, but I don't watch trailers and I found out about it like everyone else, randomly browsing online. But for most players, the reveal probably happened in-game. And I was kind of very off. I honestly did not expect her to look so dainty. I remember being kind of sad we didn't get a cool warrior woman of sorts, so I decided this was as good a time as any to try and visualize the design I'd had in my head for years. I wasn't planning on showing it to anyone but my friends interested in Genshin, so it was basically a first draft type design to finally get it out of my head. The idea was that most of her body had been corrupted by the Abyss, but that she'd managed to control it and stop it from spreading, leaving her upper body mostly intact. It was a cool way to show she was still clinging to her humanity. I also liked the idea of giving her these paint-like color splashes on her human skin to represent her scars. I left it at that, deciding I could finally move on. But with the recent gameplay leaks, which I cannot show on here, I wanted to revisit this design again and try to elevate it a bit. When I looked back at what I'd drawn, the part that I thought really needed more work was the bones I'd added to the design. I couldn't quite remember what the thought process behind them was, but I tried to blend them into the design a bit better. In one of the thumbnails, I'd given her a full rib cage around her chest, and I thought going back to that design idea would make for something more interesting. I added a few more bones here and there, but in the end, I didn't like how much the white stood out. To remedy this, I thought I could do something similar to Child's foul legacy form, giving the bones a darker color to make the purple of her corrupted skin stand out more. It also gave me the idea of those bones being a sort of shell, and with that in mind, I shaped them into thigh-high boots as well. To add more contrast, I also added light pinkish purple under her ribcage shell, as if there was light emanating from there. For her cape design, I still wanted to keep the ragged look and the stars, but thought giving it tails of sort would look a lot cooler, especially in movement. After the rework, I still felt like I could make it more interesting. I decided I'd leave it be for a while and come back to it later with fresher eyes. With a few days of not looking at it, it was easier to figure out what I did and didn't like about this design. I liked the overall silhouette, but I felt like the cape would look better if it took up more space. I also felt like the hair could be a little more interesting, and ended up hiding one of her eyes behind her bangs to add some mystery to her. I also wasn't super convinced by the boots I'd given her, so taking another page from Foul Legacy, I made sure to add gaps so you could see her corrupted skin underneath, and in that process, I ended up turning them into pseudo pants, I guess, and getting rid of the hip spikes that I'd kept from her first design. I also decided her covered eye would be corrupted as well, but I'm not entirely convinced by the idea anymore, to be honest. I detailed the pattern of her shell without the cape and decided I would try to draw an illustration of her. That's right, just like with my Foçalors design, except not really because I went in with zero prep. For the illustration, I wanted something kinda cool looking and fully character focused. I also wanted to try another coloring style, less focused on line art, where I'd sketch and color the whole piece and clean it up in another layer until I had a more or less finished and rendered piece. Not gonna lie, I was a little worried how it would turn out. After a lot of doodling, I chose a pose based on a picture of a woman holding a rapier above her head. I like the way her arm and the sword framed her face. I added a second sword, since just like her pupil, she's a dual wielder. The swords I gave her are going to be heavily based on Child's own weapon, since I was going with the idea that he basically copied her whole flow.
He copied my whole f***ing flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
I do think Canon Skirk's swords look a lot more interesting than what I went for, but I wanted to strictly go off of my own old assumptions about her design, rather than picking options from her current one. This was a great reminder that I really need to level up my weapon design skills. This method of rendering is a lot messier than what I'm used to, but it is also a lot of fun. I will say next time I attempt it, I'll do a cleaner sketch beforehand, just so I don't have to spend as much time cleaning stuff up in the rendering process. I still kept a lot of the lower parts of her body mostly sketchy, since it wasn't supposed to be the focal point of the piece. I mostly focused on her face, arms, and swords. I added some particles, copied and flattened the finished version of the drawing, and added some chromatic aberration to the whole thing. My secret sauce to making stuff look rad as hell. I also almost forgot to add the stars. Here's the final illustration. I'm very proud of how cool it ended up looking. I don't usually do illustrations, as I've mentioned in my Foçalors video, so I'm always happy when I get one done. And now that I've got my Skirk design out of my system, I can finally move on. But what do you guys think of the design? It's very different from Canon Skirk. Anyway, that's it for the video. Yes, I know it's kinda short, but worry not. We're going back to the Genshin Pet cast for the next video. So if you don't want to miss that, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified once I post the next video. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye!